Hi everyone, Michelle here for another episode of Mind Right, Game Tight, because if your mind's right, your game's tight no matter what you do in life. And this episode is on when we have people who say they want to be a professional athlete. So I work with youth, obviously student athletes, and you will hear that they do want to be professional athletes. And a lot of the times I hear from, first time is like, okay, well, what's your plan B, right? We also want to go to that plan B because we know the percentage of, people that make it as professional athletes is less than 1%. And I understand that. Also, what I want to keep in mind though, and this is just from my experience, when I was in 8th grade, I wanted to play in the WNBA. It was the first year that the WNBA actually started. And so it wasn't necessarily to drop my dream, and I don't think we need to do that. I always say to somebody, do you like the idea of being a professional athlete, or do you really want to be a professional athlete? And when I ask, what are you doing? It's are you practicing? Do you practice only when practice is called by the coach, or are you practicing outside? Because to me, that's where the real practice is happening, where you're taking the initiative, you're putting in the extra work and time. How are you doing in school? There's so many aspects that, really go into making a professional athlete. And sometimes what we're just seeing as the highlight reels, and it's ooh, I like the idea of that lifestyle. So I always ask, is it the idea of it, or do you really want to do it? Now moving forward, and why I don't just drop a bombshell on someone's dream of wanting to be a professional athlete is because actually my dream of wanting to be a professional women's basketball player allowed me to continue to have a great work ethic. So I put that work ethic in because I wanted to get better and better as a basketball player. As a student athlete, I knew I had to keep my grades up in order to play. So guess what? I had to do the work. I had to do the things necessary in the classroom as well. And so just by doing those things consistently and creating good habits in order to be a great player and a great teammate and a great person as well, that actually helped me through all my journey of life until where I am right now, right? So it's not about just there was this goal of wanting to be a professional athlete, but as I got to continue along, I networked, I made great relationships with teammates and coaches. There's so many things that you're getting out on the journey, and also those habits. I have great habits now because I had really great habits when I was a teenager. So I brought that along the way with me on my journey. So I feel there's nothing wrong with someone who says they want to be a professional athlete, regardless of their size or whatever you think if they can make it or not. That's not really your job. For me, the most important thing is knowing that if you want to do it, put the effort into, achieving that goal. And whether they do it or not, that's not important. It's because they're going to learn so much on their journey, and their journey is going to take them, where they need to be. And maybe there may be a shift in wanting to be a professional athlete, but it's that ethic and that belief in themselves and seeing that they can accomplish things along that way is that boost and that self-love within that really matters more than anything. For me, it's always that self-love and just understanding who you are and knowing that if you put your mind to something that you can accomplish whatever it is that you want, and that's most important, regardless of what people say, because a lot of times people are going to have something to say. So it's just understanding to continue to encourage and knowing that we don't know if they will or they won't, because there's people that have told kids you're going to make it and they don't, and there's people that have told kids you're not and they do. And then there's people that you can go any direction, but it's the encouragement of creating that work ethic and belief in yourself. I always say, the circle of support is so important because you want to have the positive energy, the uplifting energy to come into somebody, because it really does. It's like a super hero moment when, I don't know, if something happens and they grab the jewel and they get a whole nother sense of their power starts to form. And that's what it is. It's words of encouragement help, and it fuels them, and then they're allowed to do their own words of encouragement for themselves that continues to fuel them. And then they see the results that they're producing as well, and knowing I can put action into something and this can happen as well. And it's going to lead me on my own journey that, we don't know where that may take somebody, but I always say to continue to encourage, because you really don't know where it will take them. But the most important part is feeding their soul and their spirit and letting them know that you are capable of anything. And I believe everybody is capable of everything and anything that they truly desire and want to do, and that they put their mind to it. Just may look different for certain people, but there is always a great thing to continue to push and empower others. Treasure yourself and shine.